This class deals with total quality management and quality tools. It's one of a series of talks on this topic. There are several videos and it's important that you look at each of them. But this is the introductory one, this is the starting point. So let's move to total quality management and see what it's about. Quality is the ability of a product or service to consistently meet or exceed customers' expectations. So it's the ability of a product or service to consistently meet or exceed customers' expectations. That's a clever definition of quality, because when our expectations as customers are met, we feel happy with the product. We think the product is good quality. It meets our expectations. But of course, if it over-meets our expectations, if it does more, if it's even better than we anticipated, then we really think it's a very good quality product. So it's a clever way of looking at quality in terms of our expectations. The total quality management movement, if we describe it as that, it's a philosophy that involves everyone in an organization in a continual effort to improve quality and achieve customer satisfaction. So when we talk about TQM, we're talking about getting everybody in the organization, not just the line management, the line operators, but everyone within the organization should be committed to quality and to the achievement of quality, and thereby giving customers more satisfaction. So let's look at a definition of quality. It's the ability of a product or service to consistently meet or exceed customer expectations. That's a very good way of looking at quality. It defines quality in terms of our expectations and to the extent to which our expectations are met or exceeded. A second definition is the ability to meet standards. Well, we can see problems with that one because standards may be set too low, or someone has to set the standards who may not understand exactly what customer expectations are. So I think the first definition is a better route to take. It defines quality in terms of expectations, customer expectations, and the extent to which those are met. Whereas the second one, the ability to meet standards, is a much it's a much looser definition. We have to see who sets the standards, what's the level of the standard, and then we have to try and draw comparisons between the standards and customer expectations. So it's far better, I think, to go with the first definition. Quality assurance versus the strategic approach. Well, first of all, quality assurance. This puts an emphasis, I should say, on finding the correct defects before reaching market. So quality assurance is trying to weed out the bad products, the ones that don't meet the standards of giving good customer satisfaction. So it's important that the management and the operators keep an eye out for products which may slip through. But if they do, they're going to damage the reputation of the business. They're going to flag up amongst customers a question mark about quality in this business. And the business really can't afford that to happen. If it's to maintain its position in the market, if it's going to compete effectively with its competitors, it must have a reputation for good quality. Therefore, it's imperative to find defects before they reach the market. The strategic approach, well, this is proactive, focusing on preventing mistakes from occurring. So in this case, there is commitment by the organization to preventing the mistakes from the first place. So having robust procedures, having clear guidelines for operators to follow, having machines that are well maintained and capable of producing a product with accuracy, consistency, with quality. So it's proactive. It's dealing with issues before they even arise. It's making sure that everything's in place to ensure good quality. So it has an emphasis on customer satisfaction. It's looking to the end, looking to the product, going to the customer, and that product should be good quality. But what it's doing is it's ensuring all the way back through the production process, through the offices where the order was first received, all the way through the organization, that there is an extreme emphasis on quality and on the need for quality. And also, of course, to emphasize the importance of not making mistakes or shoddy workmanship. Now, the dimensions of quality, well, performance is the main characteristic of product or the service. So performance in this case is not just making output, but it's making usable output. It's making output that meets customer requirements, in other words. So performance is how efficient is the organization at converting inputs into outputs, but doing that in a way that meets customer satisfaction, that the quality of the output is of acceptable standards to the client at the end. There should also be some emphasis and some recognition of the need for aesthetics, the appearance of the product, the feel of the product, the smell, the taste, depending on what the product is. But it's not just a question of putting quantity out at the end. There should be it should be a refined product, a product that gives the customer the feeling that this organization is capable of producing a quality product that meets broader needs. This is a product which has got some perhaps aesthetics. If it's a product for the final customer, for their home, it's aesthetic. It's appealing. It has the proper look, color, texture, the proper feel, smell, taste, as I say. It could have special features, extra characteristics. Sometimes when people buy a product, they take it home and they find subsequently that the product can also do other things that they hadn't really anticipated. When they read the instruction book, if it's a piece of electronics, they find that the product can do other things. Now, that's a pleasant surprise. That's an extra feature. And sometimes organizations don't push all the features of the product. They try to make customers aware of the big features, the important features. But there are other features, extras, which may be included. Conformance. Well, how well does the product or service conform to customers' expectations? What's the fit between customer expectations and the product? If the customer has got something in mind, it's got a particular quality in mind, it's got a particular look, particular aesthetic in mind, if it's got a particular performance requirement in mind, does the product fit with that? Because if it doesn't, it's unlikely it'll make sales. And if it does make the sales, it may not make return sales or repeated sales. So it's important that there is conformance between the expectations of the customer and the quality, the appeal, the performance of the product. So the product should be good quality in terms of meeting overall customer expectations. The product, of course, should be safe. If there's a risk that the product is dangerous, that will be counterproductive. And if there are examples of products being risky or having posed a threat or a danger to the user, then the image of that product may be destroyed. It may certainly be damaged severely, and the producer will experience a sharp downturn in sales as a consequence. So it's important that the quality should also incorporate safety as an issue, to make sure that the product is safe and there are good guidelines for use and setup of the product. Reliability is also an issue. There should be consistency in performance. That when the customer buys the product and uses it, the next time the customer uses it, they should have the same experience. It should be consistent. It should be reliable. It should happen every time. So if it's a radio, every time the on button is pressed, it should come on. It should be reliable. And it should be consistent. If the radio is tuned to a particular station, then every time it's tuned to that station, it should get the station. It should be consistent. And the same applies to every product. It should be reliable, and there should be consistency of performance. It should do the same job every time. It should deliver the same quality experience to the user every time. Lastly, well, not lastly, I should say we're continuing, but on a different slide, we've got durability. The product should be durable. Of course, not all products are meant to be durable. Foodstuffs, for example, should be consumed within a certain time period. But for durable products, it should have a useful life of the product and service. It should be reasonable to expect certain products to last a certain period of time. Albeit in today's world, when we have a high degree of technological change and innovation in many aspects of, let's say, consumer products, we find that products become outdated very quickly. But the design of a particular product, it should be durable. Should the customer decide to keep the product and use it over a long period of time, it should be durable. And as far as possible, statistics and information from the producer about durability should be made available at the time of purchase, so that the customer has a good indication of how long the product should last. Perceived quality, well, indirect evaluation of quality. For example, reputation. Sometimes we think we know the product because we think we know the producer, and we think therefore that the quality will be of a certain standard. As far as possible, the producers should be aiming for very high standards, and the reputation of the business should be very high, and we indirectly evaluate the quality of a product by our imagined quality because of the brand name. This business is noted for its quality products. The business has produced this product, therefore this product is of good quality. So that's the type of linkage that we make in our heads. We perceive quality, we imagine quality because of the brand image, the reputation of the business, and because maybe of our previous experiences with products from that company. After sales service, well, handling customer complaints and or checking on customer satisfaction, it's important to follow up on any customer complaints to make sure that the customers are treated quickly and efficiently so that they may continue to enjoy the product. That's what they paid for. And it'll also cut back on the number of complaints or negative comments that appears about the business. So clearly if a product has a lot of complaints, it was of poor quality to start with. So the number of complaints could be used as an indicator of the quality of the product. Now let's go to examples of the quality dimensions. Let's say we have cars, automobiles, if you're in America, and we have repair services. Now performance. Well, for the product, everything works, fit and finish. How the car performs, how it rides, the handling of the car, the steering, the grade of the materials used. These are issues that normally we consider when we look at the performance of a car. For a service, we need to know if all the work is done, at the agreed price, how friendly was the service, how was it delivered in a competent and timely manner, was it courteous? So we're looking at the service in terms of the performance of the service, the performance of the product. The aesthetics, well, the interior design of, let's say, a car. What does the car look like? Does it look nice and comfortable? Does it look safe? Does it give confidence, and does it say something about the driver? Does it signal up to the world the quality of the driver, the position of the driver in the society, or what's it meant to do? What are the aesthetics of the car? What does the car say about the driver? And with services, the aesthetics could be clean work or a clean waiting area. If we take our car to be serviced and we're waiting for the car, we want the car to be come back clean. We want the car to look good at the end. Not only that the work has been completed, the performance part, but the aesthetics. The car looks good at the end. And also we had a good experience while we were there. We were given a nice waiting room to sit in, and it was comfortable. Temperature was comfortable, and there was perhaps even some reading material we could look at. There might be special features, convenience, high tech and so on. For example, in the product it could be controls, mobile phone, there could be music center, there could even be internet built into the car. But these are special features, so it's a dimension of quality as well. And in terms of service, well, the location, it could be that they call, for example, when the car is ready. You go and collect the car, or they may even deliver the car back to your home. The car could have computer diagnostics performed on it to make sure all the parts of the car are working efficiently. And safety, well, anti-lock braking systems and airbags could be fitted to the car. And in terms of the service, it could be a separate waiting area. You don't have to stand around in the garage while the car is being repaired or being serviced, because the garage may be dangerous or polluted, or it's not a nice place maybe to spend the time waiting for the car. So a separate waiting area might be good in terms of safety, as well as simply getting away from the noise and the danger of the area where the car has been serviced. So we can take a product, in this case like a car, and we can look at the product in terms of performance, aesthetics, special features and safety, performance dimensions. We can also look at the service that's done and look at those in terms of the quality dimensions as well. So when we deal with a product, when we look at a product, we can imagine it having these dimensions, and we can identify these dimensions in most cases. As usual, I've left off one. The reliability, in fact I've left off a couple. Reliability is another dimension. Infrequent breakdowns. The car shouldn't break down, and the work should be done correctly and delivered when promised. That's reliable. If the guys say they're going to do the work on a certain day, they should do it on that day. And durability. Durability is the usefulness in miles that the car is going to perform, and it's resistant to rust and corrosion. It'll look good for its life. And in terms of service, the work will last until the next service. So the car gets a service at so many miles, and tell you when the next service is due, and the car will perform until the next service, and so on. So it's, again, durability in the service. The perceived quality, well, top-rated car, cars, the quality of the car may be flagged up by the manufacturer, the reputation of the manufacturer. This is our perceived quality. So we expect cars produced by certain car producers to be of a high quality. And in terms of service, it could be award-winning service. The service from the particular garage may be recognised as being exceptional by some quality standard agency or by customer reputation. And service after sale, well, handling complaints and requests for information, that should be done by the manufacturer of the car, and that service, or the broker who sells the car, the garage who sells the car, they should provide that information, and it should be accurate information. And also with the service repair, handling of complaints. So I was a bit premature in saying that the earlier slides were where we got to, but in fact there are 8 of these, and the first 4, performance, aesthetics, special features, safety, and then we've got reliability, durability, perceived quality, and after sales. These are dimensions, quality dimensions, and we can look at most products in terms of their quality dimensions. We can try to determine the quality dimensions of products by thinking about the product and trying to write down what the quality dimension is and what is a fair quality dimension for that product. And that's how that would help us to gauge properly what we mean by quality in the context of a particular product. Now let's change from this and talk about quality service. Well, for a start, the service quality, we're talking here about tangibles, something that we can touch in terms of the service, the convenience, the reliability, the responsiveness, the time, the assurance, and the courtesy. Now, service quality, if we go back to talking about the car for a second, just to use the service component we mentioned earlier, the service quality, when we say tangibles, normally we think of services being intangible. We find it difficult to touch a service. If a musician plays a piece of music, it's intangible, but it's a service. It creates the mood. Tangibles, in this case, could be the waiting room I talked about in terms of the car maintenance. So we have, if you like, the environment in which the service is delivered. Then we have to look at the convenience of the service, the reliability of the service. Was it a good service? The responsiveness, how responsive is the service to our needs, to what we wanted? Does it address our requirements precisely? The time. If we were allocated a time for the service to be done, was it done on time? What's the, if you like, the assurance? What's the guarantee that the work meets a particular standard? And the courtesy associated with that. Now, there are different ways of interpreting these 7 points, but I'm linking these back to the example with the car going for service in the previous set of slides. But let's have a look at an example, perhaps to illustrate these a little more. So here we have the dimension and the example. Now the tangibles. Going back to, let's say, the car example, just for the moment. Well, were the facilities clean? Were the personnel neat? And were was it a good environment within which the service was conducted? Was the service centre conveniently located? Was it convenient? Was it easy to find? And was it easy to get into and get out of? What are the characteristics of its location? Reliability, was the problem fixed? Was the service offered reliable? Did it do what it promised? Responsiveness, were customer service personnel willing and able to answer questions? And was it responsive to our needs? Did it meet our needs precisely? And also, were the people who worked there, were they willing to give time to talk about the problem and to explain the problem and deal with any questions that, as customers, we may have. How long did we have to wait for the service? Were we just standing around waiting as opposed to having the service? Did the customer service personnel seem knowledgeable about the repair? Well, what sort of guarantees do we have that the quality of the work was of a high standard? What if it's not? And what was the courtesy? Were they friendly and courteous, or were they abrupt and matter-of-fact? Did they dismiss us, treat us badly when we got there? Or were they polite, nice people who made us feel informed and almost welcomed to their place of work? So there are dimensions in terms of service quality that we can identify as well. And again, we could start looking for these in other services. Perhaps if we go to a restaurant, we could apply the same facilities, or the same dimensions. Tangibles: was the restaurant clean? Were the personnel neat? Convenience: where was it located? Reliability: was there a problem about getting the meal? Was the meal consistent in terms of, if we had the meal there before, was it nicer before than on this particular day? So we have to have consistency and reliability, and so on. We could go through these in the context of a restaurant. In fact, we can go through them in the context of most services. So it's a worthwhile table, a worthwhile note to make about the various dimensions of quality and how we can analyze particular services. Now, the determinants of quality. Well, first of all, the product should conform to the design. Whatever the design is, that's what should be produced. If the product does not conform to the design, then it's bad quality. If the product calls for a square box and somehow a round box was produced, or an elliptical box was produced, that does not conform to the design. So it's bad quality. Something went wrong somewhere, and it's bad quality. So products must conform to the design. And the design, of course, will have been through all the various stages of consultation with the marketing department, with customers, it may have been trialed with the customers. So the designs are fairly robust. And therefore, the products produced should conform to the design, the dimensions, the quality, the color, the texture, and so on. Service. Is it easy to get the product serviced? Is it easy to purchase the product in the first place? Was there good service at the point of purchase? What's involved in the service of this product, in maintaining the product? So it's important that the quality issues associated with service be explicitly stated. And essentially, it should come down to a quality product may require less service than cheaper alternatives. The ease of use. If it's difficult to use a product, it's not customer friendly, and therefore it's not easy to use. It's poor quality. Good quality, the product is well designed. It meets the requirements of the customer, and therefore should not require a lot of effort on the part of the customer to use the product. It meets customer requirements. The design should be contemporary. It should meet current day design standards. Design should be in terms of the aesthetics, but also in terms of its functionality, in terms of its durability, in terms of its overall perception of quality. So when a customer encounters the product, they feel quality. They recognize the brand name, they recognize the company. The design feels contemporary. The design is innovative. So there are dimensions of design. So the design is planned quality, consumer input, design and durability. So when we think about design, we're thinking about what was intended by the producer and what was the design based on. Well, the design will have ultimately been based on customer feedback and research, customer market research, research based on customers' attitudes and feelings towards particular designs. And it should look into, as I said, things like durability. Now, conformance to design standards. It's important that goods or services conform to the intent of the designers. If the design has been agreed and the design is based on market research and customer opinions and testing and so on, if the designs have gone through various processes and have got as far as the production stage, then the production stage should make the product exactly according to the design. There should be conformance to the design. If there is not, then there is a lack of quality. It's the difference between design and production that is a measure of quality. Ease of use, well, it should be directions, instructions, training, but essentially the customer expectations should be factored in all the way through the process. Customer expectations in terms of the product, the usage of the product, what they're going to use it for, the number of times they're going to use it, what they expect the product to look like, the functionality of the product. All of these issues should have been built in so the product is easy to use. It's very unlikely that customers are going to require a product that's difficult to use. So ease of use should be put in right from the start in the design stage. And service after delivery, well, it's important that the customers don't feel isolated and abandoned. Once they've made the purchase, that's it. They feel abandoned. That's important. It's important that that does not happen. They still have contact with the agency that sold them the product or with the company itself. So it's important that if there are issues or feedbacks or comments, there is a conduit through which the feedbacks can go to the business, so that the business is able also to benefit from those comments and build those into future designs. But in the event of something going wrong with the product, then of course the customers can feel that they're not isolated. They can get support and they can get the product mended or even have their money returned. The consequences of poor quality, well, loss of business is an obvious one. Poor quality, no one's going to buy the product if it's poor quality. If it's not reliable, if it doesn't look good, doesn't meet customer expectations, it's not going to be sold. Loss of business. Could be liability. If the product claims to be able to do certain functions and it can't, then there is a breach of contract. There is liability on the part of the producers. Or it could be liability in terms of safety and danger. The product proves to be dangerous and someone is hurt, there's liability. Productivity could be affected by poor quality because there might be efforts within the business to try and correct for the poor quality. Of course, the efforts themselves will be slowing the production lines down, productivity will fall off, machines have to be retooled maybe, or workers have to be retrained, or there are impacts on productivity. And of course, through productivity, we also get impacts on costs. And the costs of poor quality can be various. Customers could turn against the product, so there's poor quality and costs linked through distribution, the company has distributed the products to outlets. Customers don't like the product, so the cost of distribution is dead. The product has been made and no one wants it because it's perceived as poor quality. Costs. So costs are affected in various ways depending on the product. Some departments might be more affected than others. The loss of business. Well, customers quietly stop buying the product. It could be quietly stop buying it, or they might shout about not buying it because they're so upset with the product. It depends on how poor the quality is and how important the product is. Sometimes customer complaints don't reach upper management. Sometimes customer complaints come into the business and they get dealt with at middle management level or even at operator level. But in fact, after sales service, if they're receiving high volume of calls and dealing with many issues, that is symptomatic of poor quality and should be dealt with at the highest level. Liability, as I said earlier, could be linked to damages or injuries resulting from poor quality, poor design, conformance, ease of use, service. If someone gets hurt, that's a problem. If simply they buy the product and it doesn't meet what it says it's going to meet, what it says it's going to do, there's a liability. They have been misled. The customers have been misled into buying a product that is not useful to them. Low productivity, well, it could be the product has to be reworked because it's poor quality, so it has to go back to the start and be reworked, or even scrapped, which is more serious. So more inputs are required, and a lot of the inputs do not produce an output. So there's a loss of productivity. And higher costs, well, as I said, it's a mixture of everything. Distribution costs will have to be met. The outlets may have to be compensated because they've put the product on the shelf and the product is faulty and bad quality. The loss of productivity within the business, raw materials have been wasted and used up, energy, electricity, paperwork in the office. It all leads to higher costs. So poor quality is bad, it's dangerous. Now the costs of quality, well, failure costs, costs incurred by defective parts, products or faulty services. That's a cost of quality. It's the fact that the product fails. It fails to meet customer expectations. It fails in the market. And it could fail because some of the parts are defective, or the product is faulty, or simply it's not produced to standards, to the design. So there could be internal failures, costs incurred to fix problems that are detected before the product or service is delivered to the customer. This is why total quality management is so important, to pick up these issues as early as possible and to deal with them as early as possible before they get to the stage, before they get to the end, next to go to the customer. When the errors are discovered at that stage, they must go all the way back and be reworked or scrapped. There could be external failure costs. All costs incurred to fix problems that are detected after the product or service is delivered to the customer. Now they can be really expensive to deal with because there's the after-sales department will be involved. The product may have to be returned to the business and checked. It could be that a replacement product will have to be sent out. The product that was returned may have to be scrapped or parts saved from it and reworked. That's all cost. And it's dangerous for the financial basis of the business, for the continuance of the business. There's appraisal costs. Looking at products, it's important to inspect the products to make sure that the products meet the design standards, and the design standards themselves should be in agreement with customer expectations and customer requirements. So there is an inspection cost. The company must have inspection in place to make sure the products are of good quality before they leave the premises. And there's time and effort that has to be spent on inspections and appraising the product to make sure that it is good design, well made, good quality. There's also prevention costs. Quality training, making sure that workers within the business, all the way through the business, if it's total quality management, they are all the way through the business, they have been trained to look for issues. There should be planning of training as well, and it should be reinforcement training to keep it up to date and to make sure that the importance of the quality inspections are understood by everyone within the business. Prevention costs, well, they look at also customer assessment. They should look at how customers appraise the product. And there should be feedback from after-sales services to indicate the amount of contact they have with customers who perhaps have problems with previous sales. But they should try to now prevent those problems. The feedback should be taken, the issues raised and built into the new production processes so that those issues don't arise in the future. There should be process control. So prevention costs are important. And of course, instructor training for better course presentation. It's always important that the instructors and the people who are advocating total quality management are themselves well trained and have a clear understanding of what is required. The need for quality. Well, quality makes customers happy, and happy customers means sales. So quality is important. Poor quality reduces productivity and increases costs, as we've just talked about. Quality is no longer an order winner. It's merely an order qualifier. If all companies are aiming for quality and companies are starting to adopt total quality management techniques, quality in the marketplace will be rising. So simply having quality does not guarantee an order, but it qualifies for the product to compete with the others. But quality is now an imperative in the marketplace. There is a lot of customer information about products online, on the internet. There's a lot of information available in stores and in shops about products. The way to make sales is to meet customer expectations in terms of quality and delivery and price. But they must also outcompete the competitors. High technology and complicated products make quality a necessity. Computerization and automation increases standardization and quality levels. So we know when we go to, let's say let's say we wanted to buy a computer in the context of computing, we know what the processes, the speed of the processes are. They're written down for us, so we can draw a comparison. We know what the size of the hard drive is, or the resolution on the screen. So if we buy those products, and if the products don't last a significant time, then the durability issue is the problem, and the companies can be contacted to say everything else worked, but your monitor broke down, or the hard drive crashed. So that's the issue. The responsibility for quality. Well, it should be top management. They should take overall responsibility for quality to make sure quality is paramount in the philosophy of the business. But it could also be design teams who make sure that the products are so well designed, and if the production teams then produce to those designs, the products will be good quality. It's important that purchasing and procurement buy in appropriate raw materials and components that are good quality as well, because to make a good quality product requires good inputs. Production operations processes conform to standards. It's important that the production side of the business are properly tooled up and the personnel are properly trained to produce the designs that have come off the design from the design teams. There should be quality assurance. The quality should be backed up. Customers' fears in purchasing should be allayed. They should be reassured that if the product does not function as required, does not function as stated in the advertisements or in the manuals or in the marketing literature, then there will be support, there will be backup, and that the issue will be dealt with. And there should be good packaging and shipping, and that also should conform to standards. And it should be good quality in the sense that the product will arrive safely. If we order a laptop and it's going to come in the post, we want to make sure it comes in one piece, that it's not broken in transit. Marketing and sales should meet customers' needs. The marketing department should have appropriate information, appropriate literature, and customers should be informed accurately and honestly about the product, about its services, about its durability, about its quality, about the design, and so on. It should be an open discussion, and customers' questions should be answered with care and with honesty. And customer service and feedback, well, the customers should always feel that they have a way back to the business to discuss any issues or any problems with the product. It's important that the customers do not feel isolated having made the purchase. It makes the customer feel that the business was only there to get their money. Make the customer feel that it's a collaboration almost between them and the company. They buy the product, they use the product. If there's an issue, they can contact the company. The company will make every honest effort to repair the product or make some sort of return of the purchase price or do something to help out. Of course, the business will want to make sure that the product was not abused by the customer, and will want to make sure that the customer's action were reasonable in the use of the product, that it did not cause the failure that they're now complaining about. So these are some of the issues that we encounter when we deal with quality. It's a very important topic, and it's becoming more important as there's more information in the marketplace because of the internet, because of customer empowerment and consumer groups, and more information floating around about products and the attributes of products. So it's a very important topic. Quality is at the center of many production processes. And the idea of total quality management, managing quality right throughout the organization, is one that we're going to come on to more and more in the classes that follow on from this one. Total quality management is trying to ensure that there's no wastage of effort or resources throughout the production system due to failure. So all the personnel within the business are briefed and involved in monitoring quality to ensure that the final product is to the highest standards and exactly meets the promises of the business to the customer. That's all we're going to deal with in this particular class. As I said, there are several more to come on this topic, and it's important that the whole set of classes are taken in total to get an understanding of the nature of quality and of total quality management. But that's all I'm going to deal with here, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.